I always saw Arrested and projects like Arrested as paid vacations, because 80% of it is pretty fucking fun. And getting to work with that cast and crew and the writing, it was just, and that character, was a treat.
Hello, I'm Matt Grobar, and welcome back to Comedy Means Business. Today I'm talking to David Cross, one of the most influential figures in comedy of the last 3+ decades. An innovator frequently at the cultural vanguard who was a central figure in the alt comedy scene of the 1990s, Cross's career has been unusually multifaceted, spanning film, television, stand-up, sketch comedy, and more. Many came to know him first through projects like Mr. Show, his iconic HBO series co-created with and co-starring Bob Odenkirk, or through his role as never-nude analrapist Tobias in the Emmy-winning comedy Arrested Development. But while Cross has undoubtedly made a major mark on screen, the role he's always embraced most, the one he started with and still holds closest, is stand-up comic. One of our great unflinching satirists who cuts through the absurdities of modern-day life like no one else, Cross is back this month with The End of the Beginning of the End, the 9th comedy special of his career, where he skewers everything from sneaker hoarding to reproductive rights rollbacks.
Women will be healthy, confident, and free, and you will no longer be thinking about abortion. You will be protected, whether you like it or not. Thank you. Again, I did not write the words. You know who wrote those words? Do you know? The late Donald Trump. That's right. Someday we'll be able to say that.
In the following conversation, Cross goes deep into the new hour, a recent evolution in his approach to touring, film and TV projects past and present, and more. David Cross, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So you're coming off the release of your new special, The End of the Beginning of the End. It came out on your website earlier this month, and then it'll be available on YouTube in April, right?
Yes.
How are you feeling about it? What are you proudest of with this one?
I wouldn't say I'm proudest of this fact, but this has a different balance than probably all of my specials, in that there's way less religious and political stuff. There's a little bit. There always is going to be. Yeah. But there's this story that is about 30 minutes. Roughly half of the special is this one true story that happened.
Are you talking is it the massage?
Well, don't say it. Yes.
Did you know that there's like a person you can audibly hear say Jesus, like when you get to the sort of like the culmination of that story? I thought that was really funny.
Right. Well, let's not.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that was, that story is, and every special has one kind of story, but they're not 30 minutes long, and so that was kind of. Again, I'm not proud of it, but I like the way that happened, and it just has a different feeling than some of the other specials. And I went back to what really works for me live, which is, and I think makes for a more interesting experience when you're watching it on TV, which is shot it at a smaller music venue with everybody, up on the stage, no seats and stuff like that. And I've done that a couple times, and I went back to that, and it just feels different, and I like that.
Was there something conscious about going back to your home state for this?
Not really, no. I planned to shoot it in Missoula, Montana, which I love. I love Missoula. Have you been?
Mm-mm.
It's great. It's a really great town. I have really good shows there, and I thought, I'm going to go to this. I'll go to a red state and do my stuff. And then and that was scheduled for December, mid-December-ish, something like that, early December, I don't know. And then Trump got elected as I was, in the middle of the tour, not middle, but in the middle of the beginning, and then I was like, I can't. This stuff is whatever I do now in December. Knowing this guy is going to be completely, not just irrelevant, but like it'll feel really dated. So I need to. So I pulled the shooting because normally my little business model, as it were, is to go on a long tour, have that mapped out, and halfway through I will shoot the special, and then at the end of the tour I will record the CD, the audio, because I'm constantly evolving and changing and expanding. So if you go back and look at all my audio that not accompanies the special, but it's the same name, right? So Worst Daddy in the World special, Worst Daddy in the World audio. They're from different shows. And so there's always, the audio usually has anywhere from like 20 to 35% different new material.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that a big financial center still for comedians? I mean, obviously it's big for things like the Grammys, but it's interesting because
I don't.
Yeah.
I have.
It's like a creative.
I don't
it's
make
a creative
money
thing.
doing. I make money touring.
Yeah.
I don't make. I mean, I also self-finance. I co-produced this one, self-financed it. Co-financed. The last one was totally financed by me. The one before that was totally financed by me. So I'm not making a shit ton of money, but it's my.
It's your
I own
expression.
It's my stuff. I own.
Yeah.
I can do with it what I want.
Yeah. So going back to the venue, I mean, it seems like you've performed in sort of like alternative music-oriented venues for most of your career.
Mm-hmm.
How did that come about? Like, and why has that felt like the fit for you?
I mean, I think without it being a conscious decision early on, when I was doing stand-up and I was in Atlanta and then Boston, for where I really kind of found my voice and cut my teeth. I mean, the whole community was, this burgeoning scene of eventually what would become known as alternative comedy, and it was mixed with music, and we were all friends. We all overlapped and did these creative endeavors with each other. And
who were some of the musicians you intersected with early?
Like in Atlanta, the very first time I got paid was I opened up. There was this club called the Nightery on Ponce de Leon, and it was just like this gay new wave punk, whatever you might call it. Now I was 18 first time I got paid to do stand up, and that would have made me that would have been 82, and I opened up for my friend's band. RuPaul and the U-Hauls with Wee Wee Pole, and Wee Wee Pole was my friend's band. I met RuPaul through them, and we did the show, and it was all part of that, that scene in Atlanta. And then I went up to Boston, and then I did a lot of stuff with the Cave Dogs, and invariably different bands like the Prime Movers and the Bags and Buffalo Tom, and I don't know if the names of these bands will mean anything to you, but it's the same people we played softball with. You know what I mean? Like, and it was a lot of comics and a lot of musicians, and we just, and it was that. And then when I came out to Los Angeles I got a job to write on the Ben Stiller show. It was, again, the same kind of vibe and collective, and not that it was ever a conscious thing, but it was definitely cool. We knew it was cool. We knew something special was happening, but we didn't give it the name alternative comedy. Some a writer somewhere did that, but was it you?
Not me.
Not you.
Before my time, I think. But like, it seems like you really love music. I mean,
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. What is your sensibility?
I'm very much. I mean, now there's way more music than there was when I was, a teenager, 20, 30s. But I mean, it runs the gamut. There's not too much I don't like. I don't like new country. I'm not a fan, although I love the Dixie Chicks. Love, love, love the Dixie Chicks. I and jazz. I'm not a jazz guy at all. But I mean, almost everything else I like. I mean, it's
hard to see you listening to jazz. Yeah,
I just it's, and I know that I'm I'm just a peasant, who's like, it just sounds like screechy shit to me, but I'm more like punk, power pop, indie, whatever you want to call it. Like, I loved Minor Threat and the Replacements and the Fall and the Pixies and Bikini Kill. I mean, I'm just like, that was sort of my thing.
It must have been amazing to get to, to open as a comic for musicians like Tool. Seems like pretty cool. And also you've been in like music videos for major artists, right? Like the Shins and people like that.
Not the Shins, but I did, and these are all like
or not
friends
the Shins,
of mine,
not
the Strokes.
The Strokes.
So there's
Sorry,
Strokes, Yellow Tango,
right.
Superchunk, all bands that I love that I'm friendly with. Yellow Tango played at our wedding, my wife and I's wedding.
Oh,
and,
wow.
Yeah, and these are, I had a surprise party for my 60th that my wife threw, and it did surprise me. And Bob Mould was there, and Lasavi Fab played, and the Cave Dogs, and it was just a really special thing. And
then you just did a cruise with Modest
Isaac,
Mouse, right?
Yeah.
How cool! What was
it was
that
great.
Like?
It was fucking great. I was a little hesitant, as was Isaac, and he and I go way, way back, and he called me with a little bit of like, like just qualifying everything before he even got into it, and I was a little hesitant, but the way he described it was like, this could be fun, and all the other people on the ship, it was so Modest Mouse and Ugly Casanova, two his bands, and Portugal the Man, and Built to Spill, and I know Doug, and Black Heart Procession, Tropical Fuckstorm, who were amazing, absolutely amazing. Mannequin Pussy, Kurt Vile, just great. I mean, and everybody on the cruise was great because it was all just people there for that thing.
What were you hesitant about? That sounds amazing.
I didn't know that the whole ship was going to be
that
sensibility. Yeah. And once I found that out, it was like, okay. And my family, I brought my family, and you have a whole floor of the top floor of the ship, and it was great. It was just what a treat.
Sounds like a blast.
Yeah.
What is like the worst kind of venue for you to perform at? You seem to go across
casinos and college gigs, which I don't do anymore, either one of them. And the people always treat you, always. I mean, every time I've done a casino or a college gig, the people who book it, who bring it there, they're super cool, great.
Sure.
But
it's not the audience.
The audience, it's not a discerning audience, and it just becomes like work and laborious, and it's not the worst thing in the world, and you make a shit ton of money. It's very lucrative, but it's not a fun show. It's it just, I've learned pretty quickly as I started touring, like, if you have a bad show, and I don't really have many anymore, but I certainly did when I was doing like Make America Great Again. I had people walking out and yelling and throwing shit and all that. But I always imagine that, and I'm probably right, there's a kid somewhere up there in the balcony maybe second balcony at the end. This is a big deal. This is his first comedy show, or her first comedy show, and they're excited, and they paid their money, and I'm playing to that person, and I don't phone it in, and I don't give up, and I'm always playing to that person who could have been me, you know?
Yeah. So that brings up something interesting, which is like, how do you, as a comic who like goes there and pokes at you and is willing to provoke in a overtly political way, like what has it been like navigating this kind of period? Has it been different this time around with Trump versus the first time? Like,
no, I mean, or yes, I should say yes, because he's a known entity. He's egregiously, exponentially worse than he was in the first term, and you know, I think there are more people who've certainly come around, like, oh, that wasn't a good idea twice, but
so you got more pushback during the first?
yes,
Okay.
for sure.
How did that compare to like Bush or whatever, like any other administration?
I rarely got pushback on Bush in stand-up, but also it was easier to I think see my point of view with Bush, because what he was doing, Trump is a new level of incompetence and cruelty and ignorance, and you know, Bush didn't have the narcissism, and you know, he's Trump is you know, his ego is off the chart. He's one of those guys, and I have mentioned this before, but my dad, who I'm estranged with and have been since I was a teenager, who was not a good guy, was just like Trump, but without the money. You know, he pathological liar. Nothing was ever his fault. And I can tell, and I'm hypersensitive to people lying. Even exaggeration bothers me, you know? And Bush wasn't like that.
Right.
You know?
Right. I'm curious about the way you develop material. It seems like you largely have found this place in Brooklyn, like that you love and is a good alt venue. It's Union Hall, right?
Yes. So,
and it seems like you prefer to tour in a certain kind of way. That's not the conventional way, maybe.
Right. So this is now my 5th time I've done this, where because I do all my writing on stage, and I wish that wasn't the case. I wish I could sit down and write jokes. I just can't. I'm not good at it. But I will start the process with it's a show called Shooting the Shit, Seeing What Sticks, you know, and it starts at Union Hall in Brooklyn, which I can, and all these venues, I can either walk or ride my bike to, which is awesome. And Union Hall has tons of shows. It's great. It's been around for a while, and it's 99 seats in a basement. And the first 2, if not 3 shows, I just feel awful because I got nothing, and I'm like just apologizing all the time. But I'm bringing up these topics I want to talk about and just seeing if anything's there. And you have to do those. Unfortunately, you have to have a beginning. You have to have a start, and they're always like, oh boy, you know. But my fans are fucking amazing, and there's a lot of leeway, a lot of give. They'll come to multiple shows over the evolution of it. And then slowly but surely, and I will have the same feeling every time for the first couple shows, like, oh God, what am I going to do? This is awful. I feel terrible. And then slowly but surely, you start bits start presenting themselves to you. You can flesh them out. You find new ways to link two disparate ideas to make it one idea, and so I eventually, and then I have 2 guests who will do 12 minutes, and I know the audience will be entertained. These are really good comics, and then eventually I get enough material, so I have 1 guest. I move to a slightly bigger venue. I go to a place called Littlefield, or Sultan Room in Bushwick, or Littlefield in Gowanus, and then I'm still doing like 30 minutes, and then somebody in between, and then 30 minutes. And then after 4, 5, 6 of those shows, I do a bigger venue where it's just me. I do the Bell House, which is 380, 400, and I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's all about sequencing and, figuring that stuff out. And it always happens before you know it, way before I thought how much time I was going to need. I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go. But it doesn't work that way. You can't just call a theater in New Orleans and go, put me in on Wednesday, So, but I'm added a new wrinkle to it, a new little bit of seasoning. And I'm going to play, I haven't played clubs.
Yeah.
I was going to say the last club I played, I believe, was Charlie Goodnight's, and that was probably, I'm going to say 20 years ago, maybe.
Wow.
19 years ago, something like that. That was the last club where I went and did a club.
And now you're back.
And now I'm going to do weekends and 8 different, because I also do this, because I'm well aware of that it's easy, in a sense, once I get the material going, I have confidence in it, to do the as you call it, the button pushing kind of stuff in Brooklyn. It's easy. So I go out and I'll what I started to do 2 tours ago, and I'm going to do it again now, is go to Omaha and Lexington, Kentucky, where it's not as easy. And I'll do it at a club where that's a different muscle, and fuck it, let's have some fun.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like doing things on a number of levels differently than you have in recent years. You've also been pushed into this space that is like a necessity, it seems like these days, for comics, but was not around when you were coming up. It's like things like a podcast, social media.
Yeah.
You really were reluctant, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even with the podcast, I thought it was really funny that you had this conceit, and then you're like, nah, I'm just gonna not do that.
I enjoyed it. And the reason
is it done, or it's just, we'll see?
Yeah, they didn't pick it back up. So
Okay.
That'll be that. But in their defense, it's a business. I was not making them the money that would have, and there was a whole list of products that I just couldn't advertise. And there were like 9 that I said, yeah, I believe in this product, but I just couldn't,
be doing ads for MeUndies and stuff.
Yeah, shit like that, like Dude Wipes or fucking. Some of them are like, all right, a language learning thing. Yeah, a language app. Okay, that's fine. Or the stuff that I actually use, AG1. Great. I like that. I can do that. But like Omaha steaks, like, these are the best steaks available. And like, no, they're not. and I just like, they gave me a list of like, I'm not kidding, like 90 potential sponsors. And I narrowed it down to 9. And like, that's not going to work. And so, okay. So I don't mean to make it sound like, oh, boo-hoo, they didn't pick me up. Like, sure. I get it's a business. I understand why. But I fucking had a blast doing it. I really did. I didn't think I'd enjoy it as much. And when I started doing, press has changed dramatically. And, promotion for, hence why we're here.
Yeah.
I'm in Burbank. I got on a plane and came here, and we're doing a podcast. And
you're usually, what was it before? You were doing radio?
You do, there's always satellite radio, which you still do, but it was more like TV talk shows.
That's right,
And
you forget about talk shows.
Yeah.
It's a crazy thing, right?
And I would say half, if not more, of the press I'm doing here in New York is podcasts.
Totally.
And by doing that and being on this side of the mic, I really I was like, oh, this is fun. This is kind of cool. And then reapproached the idea, because people had been saying do a podcast for, and by people I mean my managers and agents and stuff. And I just had zero interest in it. I don't listen to podcasts, not for any ethical reason. I just don't occupy my time that way.
It's fair.
And I got nothing against them. And as I said, I did one. I enjoyed it. Outside of like 4 or 5 clunkers, I had a fucking great time doing it.
Yeah.
So
Please tell us which was the clunker.
Oh God, Sandra Bernhard. I said, please don't. I don't want people to waste their time with this. You know, it was she just didn't get she just didn't get it, and she didn't. It felt like she was there, you know, for obligatory reasons, and there was it wasn't fun.
Was it one of these ones where it's like a talk show host will sort of like try to like, you know, go with you, and you're like, it's just a weird dissonance?
There was one, she didn't get that I was joking. She was not familiar with me or my stuff at all, and I think she was doing promo for something.
Sure.
Otherwise she wouldn't be here. Would be there, but and a lot of like, there's no you'd say something and then just a quick answer like no, or what, you know what I mean? It wasn't a fun conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
And didn't. And then there was just a couple others that were just really flat, but not a lot.
Yeah,
you know?
Fair. What do you think about the social media of it all? I assume you have someone doing that for you. I've heard you were like taking things out of the vault, like you've got a ton of footage and stuff. So
yes,
that seems like you know, it's something you gotta do and just find whatever way application that works.
Yeah, for you. And you're exactly right. I have a presence on all those things, but I don't have those apps on my phone, and I don't really peruse it. And again, I think it's bad for my health, you know, and I was on it a bunch, and then I got off of it for a specific reason a while ago. Like it was like I was gonna get canceled or something, and I was like, and I just deleted it from my phone, and then like almost instantly I was like just not as angry and you know, it didn't have a cloud over my head, and oh, maybe it was when Musk bought it. Maybe that was when I was like, all right, fuck it, I'm out of here. And it was good. I was glad. It's just there's some great stuff on there, funny stuff, and people will send me things. And my wife set it up so that I get this Instagram Reels or something. She can set, so I can look at that without having the app or whatever.
Okay, yeah.
And whatever it is, she knows that stuff, and she's on there. But so I do see funny, like really clever things, but I don't see the debasement of humanity and the cruelty that's out there.
That's good. That's good.
But I do have a presence, and I pay people to put this out there, and so yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be horrible for people who have to do that themselves. It seems like just completely exhausting. Well, I was curious about like this distribution strategy. Have you always, or like with your recent specials, done this where you'll like put it on your website and then go to YouTube a month later?
Well, yes, but it's out of necessity. I don't want to position myself as some, you know, rebel or something like that, or this, beacon of ethics or whatever.
Sure.
I mean, it's on there because nobody bought it. Nobody wanted it. I would have been happy to have it on HBO or Netflix or Hulu.
I just don't understand the mandates at these places if they're not picking up your special. Like, it's very strange.
I don't know. It's business. I would disagree that it wouldn't be worth the whatever, stipend they'd give me and then the bandwidth they'd have to pay for. But there's a whole team, of people in marketing and analytics who say no, thank you.
Would you have done the license deal they do with a lot of people, where you sort of like license it for 3 years? It's a cheap deal and you get it back. Would you have done that, or because like they tend to?
I would definitely do it where I got it back. I've done that with. I have taken less money almost every time to have an ownership of it, and that's in great part so that nobody can fuck with it or exploit it, I guess, for purposes that I wouldn't be happy with. And look, I've got, as long as I don't lose money, I'm happy. I don't have to. I don't need, $10 million to do a special.
Sure.
I just don't want to. I'll pay for it myself, and and there's no reason for a special to cost $3 million. It shouldn't cost.
It's like a marketing expense.
Yeah,
sort of like,
it shouldn't even cost $300,000. You can make a good special, and I have multiple times with good talent, good camera people, good editing, good lighting. For not that much money, and so the goal is just to at least not go out of pocket.
How did you end up with YMH as a partner on this one?
I think they reached out to me. I'm not sure. It was I had done some stuff with Tom and Bert. I did some of the podcasts, and I like those guys a lot. And I had a blast doing their podcasts, and I'm not sure how it came about. Maybe it was through managers or something, but it certainly made sense. And I was like, yeah, happy to. Yeah, absolutely. Gotcha. And I like those guys. I think they're a good hang, and why not?
Yeah, if you come around to doing another podcast, you should talk to them because they're expanding so much. They've created this like empire recently. It's been interesting. They're like rolling out a new podcast every week, and they're all quite good. Well, I guess I wanted to go back to your earlier years a little bit, if you're cool with that. Like,
Absolutely. No.
I'm curious, like, what the scene was like in Boston. I know my sense is that you didn't feel like you really felt you didn't really feel you fit the mold at the time. But what was it like?
There were two distinctive scenes that did have some overlap, but there was. And I was phenomenally lucky to be in Boston at the time I was in Boston. And I might not be sitting here with you today if I wasn't, because it was during the comedy boom, and I was really kind of raw and not very I was like consciously trying to be button pushing, and there was some shock value shit that I hadn't really earned yet, and I was and also, like, before anybody knew who I was, I could do characters, so I would go up as a fake person and really try to fool the audience and make them uncomfortable.
Do you have any of those that stand out to you? I wanted to ask about that because that's amazing.
The first one I did was a guy. I'd go up as a very nervous, effeminate first-timer named Napoleon Dynamite, and I would. It must have been off of the Elvis Costello thing, so.
That was a thing before the movie?
Oh wait, no, not Napoleon Dynamite. What was that? Yeah, that was the movie. No, what was the? It's from Blood and Chocolate. It's no, Nathaniel. Wait, what was it? It was. I don't remember. Louis would. Would introduce me. Oh, sometimes I play a severely retarded guy, and I would freak out. And then, but I would go up as this. This is the first time I did it, like open mic nights, and it was Nathaniel something. Anyway, and I would go up, and I was just nervous, and oh gosh, well, everyone says I'm funny, so. Anywho, okay. I have these two adorable dogs, and I would talk about my dogs, Salt and Pepper, and then I would take any kind of sound about 2 minutes into this, and just people uncomfortable, and not hating me, but just like the awkwardness, trying to make it awkward, sweating,
Does that feel? Do you relish that? Do you like?
I love it. I wish I could do that stuff.
That feels good to be like in
was
control
really fun.
in an awkward situation. On the opposite end of it.
But then it would, I would get upset, and I would find there would be anything somebody said, if they shifted or whatever. I was like, oh, am I making you uncomfortable? And then I would accuse them of being homophobic. And I hadn't said I was gay or anything, but I would try to get them upset that I was because I was gay, and then it would turn into because Andrew Dice Clay was really popular at the time. This is like 83, 84 maybe. I don't know, 85, and then I would do like a dice. I would go, I can do that. Is that what would make you? Would you feel better about that? Does that make everybody feel better about me? And then I would just do this ridiculous, over the top, awful kind of hey, with terrible sexist jokes, and then I did a character that was had throat cancer, and I would go up. But I was an impressionist, right? So you didn't know I had throat cancer yet. But I'd write out my intro like, he's, winner of Providence, Rhode Island, best impressionist, whatever the thing was. And then, and I'd get a drink strainer from the bar, this little kind of lollipop shaped thing with the curly things and the metal wires, and I would start talking and nothing would come out, and then I go, oh, and I'd get the strainer and I'd pretend like I was turning it on and be like, good evening, everybody. I can't do it now because I have a cold, but there's a quality to your voice that you can do. And then I would do impersonations in the throat cancer voice.
Have you thought about doing something character-based again?
I mean, you just wouldn't fool anybody. I opened for myself for a while as a character named Ainsley McTree, who was a protest singer, and I would have like a kind of a longer wig, and I play guitar, and I learned like, 3 chords, 4 chords, and I was one of these guys like, oh, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for coming down tonight. But people knew it was me.
Sure.
But on the bill, it would just be, I think he was a folk. How did I call it? Folk protest folk song. I don't know. It was some weird mashup of folk musician with protest singer, Ainsley McTree. But then they'd see it was me, and so, oh, okay. Yeah. And I'd go up with this, half-assed costume, and then sing this song. I actually did it at a benefit at the El Rey.
Okay.
And what's her name? The Alanis Morissette was playing, and this was early on. I don't think people knew who I was, and it was this big benefit for some charity that somebody asked me to do, and sure, and I just went up as Ainsley McTree, and it's basically good evening, and tuning, and just constantly tuning and playing as he's talking, and never really gets to the song. And he talks about the plight of the Native American and the genocide and all that stuff, and he sings this. I start singing this very plaintive song about what the white man did, and to you and your people, and then it gets very graphic about, he skull fucked your children, but all in this thing. You get to it. It's not, you don't start off that way, but it's a minute and a half into the song, and it just becomes worse and worse about what a terrible thing the white man did to you. And people they were not happy at all. And the people who did the charity were yelling, and it was great. It was great.
Oh my God. So you've described like feeling sort of lost in your 20s, like substance issues. Like, how do you get from that sort of period, which you described as sort of like a low point in your life, to the Ben Stiller show, which seemed like your sort of like breakthrough moment where you were like writing, you were entering the entertainment sphere and sort of gaining some traction?
I mean, the short answer is I stuck it out and didn't kill myself, and it's, I think I was lucky in a sense to grow up poor and always moving around and a not a comfortable life, which allowed me a little bit of uh, it wasn't unknown to me. I knew that lifestyle. I didn't like it. I didn't want to do it, but I knew it, and I could. It didn't fuck with me like it might fuck with somebody else to be couch surfing for a year or whatever. And um, I I always had good friends, and I always did stuff, even if it was sort of performative, out on Venice Boardwalk shit. I lived here for a summer when in '85, I want to say '86, I came out here with a friend, and and you have all these crazy adventures and stories, and those kind of keep you going. And I also was never the kind of person who was like, I'm going to give it 3 years. And if I don't get it, that was never, ever even entered my mind. It's like, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And I think because I was comfortable, eating, Campbell's soup out of a can or whatever, it wasn't, I was just waiting for the next fun moment. And drugs and alcohol certainly filled up those or facilitated them, I would say. But I was very, very, very irresponsible. But that's because I had no responsibilities to anybody but myself. And if, I was living behind a kitchen behind a frat in Westwood at one point, like in this, what was a pantry. And like, all right, whatever. I'm unconscious when I'm sleeping, so it's not like I'm crying. When you get up, you leave and you go to find something to do. But, and again, I've made a lot of good friends, and I was never lonely. And I would find, a stand-up place, a place to do stand-up, a place to do that stuff. And you meet like-minded people along the way. And I had friends, and I was, believe me, when I got the opportunity to move to LA and write on the Ben Stiller show, that was life-changing. And I was sharing I was in Somerville, Massachusetts, on the third floor of a triple-decker, and with three roommates, and I was like, it was turning into the fall, and I was like, there's that period in Boston where in between fall and winter that is just fucking bleak. It's a month of just it's too warm for snow, but it's cold rain, and it's just muddy and it's dirty, and the leaves are off the tree, and it's gloomy and it's gray, and I was looking at another fucking winter in this house and no heat, and just like, yeah, I'm going. Because I did have the most really like pretentious, like, what's going to become of me, man? It's Hollywood. It's bullshit. I want to be true to myself. I had those fucking thoughts, and it was ridiculous. And, and then, went and never looked back, and it was great.
So then Mr. Show comes along. It's heralded as like this iconic show for alt comedy. What does alt comedy mean to you now? It seems to, like, having not been there at that time in the 90s, like, that it's come full circle. Like, the alt comedy sort of point of view is now much more defining of comedy, of stand-up in general. It's all like very point of view driven.
It was, we never called it alt comedy or ourselves alt comedians, but I think, to be fair, what it meant was we we didn't care that much about our outfits, and we didn't have the structure of storytelling and joke telling and joke writing that the people who had come prior to us, the kind of Seinfelds, and I'm thinking of like Richard Belzer and not knocking anybody, but they were like classic, the archetype of that kind of stand up, and people like Janine Garofalo come along, and she's wearing combat boots and shorts and she's got tattoos, and she goes up there with all her papers, and it was real, but she's fucking funny as shit and really smart, and that was a big shift from kind of the certainly the Boston comedians that were there. Again, these are good comedians. Like you talk about, there was like, Dennis Leary and Kevin Meaney and Steve Sweeney and Don Gavin and Lenny Clark. And these were really sharp, good, but they're different, and then you get people like Janine and Laura Keitlinger and myself and Mark Maron. And Mark Maron and Louis C.K. strode the line of both of those worlds. But there were some people, just fit over here, and these people fit over there. And but there was so much fucking work. They had to put bodies up, so I would get work, and I would go to a bowling alley in Nashua, New Hampshire, and I'd do 20 minutes. I'd bomb, but I was working. I was getting up, and it was great.
I'm curious about your experiences in film and television. You've done so much over the years. It seemed like you're particularly proud of the increasingly poor decisions of Todd Margaret, right? Like, is that like the benchmark for you, or like Arrested? I mean, you have more creative control in the show you're running.
They're obviously two completely different things. I always saw Arrested and projects like Arrested as paid vacations, because 80% of it is pretty fucking fun, and getting to work with that cast and crew and the writing, it was just, and that character, was a treat. It was, outside of the kind of chaos that was part of the show because of the schedules and all that stuff. It was just an absolute treat and a privilege, and I'm so thrilled I got to work on it, and I got to do that character like I wanted it to be done, and just get to work with all those folks. It was great. Something like Todd Margaret, is 100% me. It's created, written, or co-written, acting in. And I'm there through every part of post, and you live or die with it. If you don't like it, that's on me. If you like it, that's on me. And it's just crazy storytelling. And if you can get past that pilot episode, the first episode, and just understand like this is the dumbest man in the world, I think it's a really fun journey. Especially with that third season, which is kind of trippy. And yeah, that was also a treat, a pleasure. And I love London. I love living there and getting to. And then I wrote and directed a show for Sky called Bliss with amazing actors, and that was a treat. And there's something more satisfying, I guess, at the end of the day, to a thing that you created in a more specific and bigger way than acting on something. For me,
right. Well, selfishly, I want to ask you about two of those acting roles that are sort of like smaller for you, but just like iconic films. The Cable Guy. What comes to mind if you talk about that? I have very little memory of it. I
oddly enough, I just did a play with Matthew Broderick.
Okay.
And I came into our first rehearsal, and we were doing a read through, a table read. He was next to me, and I was like, we've met before. I did one of those things like, I'm because I was pretty positive we had met. I was like, we met before. He's like, yeah, Cable Guy, we did. And I was like, oh, right. And I totally forgotten it. It's like a scene that took 2 hours to shoot.
Yeah.
It's nothing. I don't remember him. I know I just, he did, I guess, or maybe Googled. It was like, he looks familiar. Oh, right, the Cable Guy. He did his homework. I didn't. But I don't remember much about that. I was happy to do it. Ben and Judd were like, "Yeah, come down, do it." Yeah, you got it.
What about one of my all-time favorites, Eternal Sunshine? Tell me about that. I mean, you were playing it was just like a friend of Jim Carrey, right?
Yeah, and that was, to get to work with Michel Gondry, who I was a big fan of his videos. He lived in the East Village, and he and his son, who I think was like 10 at the time, huge Mr. Show fans, and we ran into each other a couple of times because I lived in the East Village too. He's literally a couple blocks away, and he would always say how much he loved Mr. Show, and he and his son watched it, and they're big fans. And then this opportunity came, and I was like, there are certain people, Todd Haynes, Steven Spielberg, Michel Gondry, somebody gives you a call like, hey, so we got an offer from, and they say the name, you're like, I don't know what it is. I don't even have to see the script. I'm doing it. I want to work with Todd Haynes. I want to work with Michel Gondry. I want to work with Steven Spielberg. And you just do it. And that was one of those things. And it was, I was just thrilled to be a part of it. And I it was a feather in my cap, as they say.
He's insanely cool. I went to his house for a video shoot and watched him stop motion a title sequence for that show Kidding he did with Jim Carrey. I watched the whole process of him just cutting out. He has this childlike imagination.
He's a genius. He finds the math in art, and combines the two to make these MC Escher videos and productions.
So cool.
Yeah,
man. You, Bob Odenkirk and Brian Posehn wrote this book with unproduced scripts and stuff. Is there anything from your past that you would really like to resurrect?
Oh, absolutely, without hesitation. Bob and his brother Bill and I wrote a limited series. It was 8 episodes. And we wrote the first 4, had the Bible, really thorough Bible, because we knew where the story was going to go before we started writing it. 8 episodes, pitched it. There were, I want to say 5 entities that wanted to buy it. We went with Paramount Plus, I want to say. And we started writing it, and we were saying, this might be the best thing we've ever written. It was called Guru Nation, and it was about it was when all those docs were coming out too. Who's the Nexium guy?
Oh yeah, the subject.
Yeah, the guy.
I'm forgetting his name, but I know. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was basically me as a kind of Nexium, kind of mentalist kind of guy, and Bob as kind of a combo of the Wild Wild West Maharishi Raji guy and the guy from the Source documentary, this food place on Sunset that became a big hippie thing. And it was basically us. You see one episode's like my story, one episode's his story, and then you see there's a young couple, and there's this girl who is part of my cult, and then this boy who's I get him to film stuff, and then they leave to join this other cult, and then you see Bob's kind of story, shot differently, but it's all the same world, same timeline. It's not science fiction or anything. And then it's me getting jealous and kind of going at his cult and his cult going at my cult, and then it culminates in this like desert town with all these different cults. there's Con, which is a we call it Con. And it's where all the gurus and everybody comes together they have it was fucking great. And we wrote the first 4 episodes, really happy with it. And we had the Bible, as I said, we knew where it was going, had a lot of jokes in there. And then in the interim, Paramount, whatever, they went through a regime change, and then the new people came in and were like, no, thank you. And we were told, and I quote, that analytics and marketing couldn't figure it out. That's not a quote, but I quote analytics and marketing as, and then I'm paraphrasing, couldn't figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know what to do with it.
Man.
So we never got to finish writing or produce it.
Hopefully we'll will that into existence. That sounds awesome. You just shot something with the Almost Friday guys.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about them because I heard, everyone, when I talk to reps around town, they're all like very high on them. And I was curious what your experience was and like what you think of this current generation of up and coming comedians and like how much you're tapped in and what you engage with.
I'm not tapped in as much as I should be, especially because this stuff is like short form video. They're great. I had a whole day with them where we were just shooting the shit and then kind of pitching ideas and working ideas, and we shot 2 little short things, and then we shot this morning. I shot like a bigger YouTube, one of the more fully realized sketches. I'm really impressed. They're really talented, also very good heads on their shoulders, no kind of ego, no one's trying to be the star, and they've got a really good collective of people over there, and their work is impressive, and it's inspiring in that I need to avail myself of more of that, kind of stuff. And I don't even know how I came to. I think somebody must have sent me something like, check this out. Or maybe it was on Boing Boing. Like
yes, that's yeah.
Yeah, so there was
I'd never heard of. I'm like, what is Boing Boing?
I have Boing Boing. That's a a site I'll go to, but it was the sketch of the statistics professor freaking out, and I was like, this is genius. And what I love about their sketches is they go somewhere. I'm never ahead of them. I do, even if it's a parody, I'm not ahead of the sketch, and I don't know what's coming, and there's a story to it, and they're all really talented. Yeah.
It seems like you do really stay engaged with like the film community, indie film, upcoming emerging voices in that way. Yeah.
I will have 2 things at a prestigious film festival. One I produced and acted in, the other produced and acted in, although I wouldn't say acted.
So you're still finding some good stuff out there.
Yeah. I've got, I've run the gamut. I did an episode of Elsbeth, which was fucking fun, and it was great. Like, it shot right over the bridge, so I could go home for lunch basically, and then I did these 2 very indie movies. One of them will be at the film festival, and yeah, I get to do all that stuff and stay at home mostly, like stay in the New York area, which is nice, and and then get back to the stand up, which I've love. I have a need. I have a deep love for stand-up, and yeah.
What do you make of what's going on in Hollywood right now? It's like a crazy scene with just like the contraction and Paramount about to swallow up Warner Brothers and all this stuff. It's like, it's kind of crazy. I mean, granted, you're someone who sort of operates first and foremost outside of that. You can create your own opportunities, but like, it's kind of a daunting picture right now.
I don't know that much about it. I know I don't know much deeper than the headlines and the first 4 paragraphs of the story, as it were. I don't know the depths of that stuff, and I'm not that well versed in the business aspect of things, but I don't want to be either, and it won't really affect me, and not that I'm absolving or saying, I don't care.
Sure.
It doesn't have anything to do with me, but it doesn't. I live in New York. I don't live in Hollywood. That's by choice, and I don't imagine it's going to mean so much to me personally. I feel bad if talented people and people I know are losing work. I hope not. I think, any kind of I was really disappointed, not surprised, but disappointed in the Ticketmaster Live Nation quote settlement unquote, which is absolute bullshit.
Tell me more about that and your feelings about that.
Well, that monopoly, I've been on the bad side of that from both sides, as a person who performs and as a person who likes to go see shows. And I've always tried to keep ticket prices down. And the idea that they can get away with this, and really, again, it's pretty egregious.
Are you talking about the monopoly as far as, or like the relationship between venues and the ticket sellers and everything?
The monopoly allows them to have those relationships with the venues that they have, which is, it's mob-like. I mean, if you want this, you're going to do this, and you're going to do what we say. And Barclays Center dared to, move over to SeatGeek, and then they lost, all these concerts that they could have had. And that's just the one I know of because it's down the street from where I live. But if I'm out there and I'm just doing, whatever, the Metro in Chicago, I don't know if they're with Live Nation, but I try not to use Live Nation, but you just can't help it. You just can't. And,
right. So what is there any possible solution to this on an individual level, or not really?
If the solution was the antitrust, that was the solution, but the DOJ, or should I say the White House, nixed it. And they were ready to go. They had witnesses. They had done all that work. It's a very telling, rare thing for them to be that close with all that they had and then to drop it. That's rare.
Wasn't it like there were some concessions, but very minor things?
It was a quote settlement unquote. It's nothing. It's garbage. And then they're trying to, let the states deal with it, and they don't have the power to do that. And, it's, but I've, as a, I want to go take my daughter to see, whatever, Chapel Roan, all right? And then, I can get some decent seats for $75. I know she's going to like it. This is going to be great. It's not $75. It's when you,
it's $4,000.
Yeah, when you get rid of all the fees and the, the made up shit. And then also, as a performer, it's like, I don't, I want the most I want you to pay is $55, and then you and your friend, because I know you got to get a sitter, and I know it's a big deal, and it's a big night for you. Well, it's not $55. It's actually closer to 100 because of all these dumb, dinky little fees that I'm not making the money. You're not getting any extra value out of that, So yeah, it's disappointing.
Well, you spend so much of your act dissecting things going wrong in the world. I know you have a child, a daughter, right? So I'm sure that gives you some hope, some perspective. It certainly has for me. But is that it as far as what kind of
only
gives
thing
you some
gives me joy,
gives you hope, because we're in just a crazy time in humanity, right?
Yeah,
it's
it feels like everything's happening at once too. The global tilt towards right-wing authoritarianism and
artificial intelligence and
AI. Yep, all that happening. The global economy, the selfish, phenomenally corrupt strongmen who run different countries, and this, upsetting of the global order, and the lack of civility, and the debasement, and the joy that people find in the sadism that they have, and white Christian nationalism. Those are not good things to me. To some people, they're happy, they love it, and the monopoly of the right-wing media in this country, and the stifling of certain voices, and the Save America Act, and the rollback of civil rights, and
it's a long list.
It's a long. Yeah, I could go on and on. But I live in a bubble. I live in Brooklyn.
It's the good news.
And my daughter goes to a great school, public school down the street. She's got cool friends. It's a great community. It's a very caring, nurturing community. Literally the not just the school, but the community I live in Brooklyn, and very diverse, and I feel hope when I think and I see her classmates and stuff, and I'll volunteer and do various things here and there, but there's some good people. They're not racist or transphobic or anti-vax or whatever. This is a good community where people look out for each other and help each other, and I hope that she learns, and just we produce more good people out there whose morals align with mine, and not so much Stephen Miller's.
Yeah. Well, I think it's very important to have people like yourself out there calling things out for what they are, and kind of speaking as bluntly as you do. That gives me a little bit of hope.
Well, good, but I do want to say that if you're looking for that thing in this last special,
sure,
there's a little bit of it.
Yeah.
But it's not like some of the other ones. That's
not where it ends.
Yeah.
Enjoy your work very much. It was a treat to talk to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.